Alright, so I'm just going to be using a standard tuning here. Seems to work pretty well. Just use some compounded power chords here, makes it sound nice and big. For this initial intro section, a little bit of a stretch here. If you're down with some sus2 chords, I'm sure you've seen this look, but basically we're going to start here with this B sus2. So we'll have the 7 on the E, the 9 on the A, and an 11 on the middle D there. Okay, so it's not too big of a stretch because it's way up here. So we're just going to pick right down through that 4 times. And if you want to give that 11 a little bend, it sounds cool. I think it sounds kind of closer. Alright, and then we shift to a G suspended second. And later, we're going to be basically just taking that shape and using that there. But this is also an alternative method you can use if you can't quite get that stretch on these lower frets like this. So for this intro, we'll just be using this shape. But you can also use this later for the chorus. But it doesn't quite sound as big, so I kind of like to use the other one. But if you can't do it, you can do this. So we'll pick this G sus2, so 3 on the E, skip to A. We do an open D and a 2 on the G. Okay, just write down 4 times. And then we're just going to go through this A chord, open A, 2 D, skip the G, go 2 on the B. Okay, 4 times with that. And then we just make it a sus4, make that 2B a 3. Keep the same open A, 2 on the D. Go through that about 3 times. And then the final measure there, we just kind of give it a light strum. And you can include the 2 on the G with that too if you want. Okay, it just kind of builds a little bit into the verse. And once we get to the verse, we start with the more like major 7 and 7 looks. So we start with the G major 7, 3E, 5A, 4D. And we pick right down through it like that, and then we just come back up to the 5 on the A. So we go 3, 5, 4, 5. Alright, and we just pick through that 4 times. Alright, and after that we shift to a B7. So just trying to keep with like the same spots that we've been using. We'll just bring it up here to the 7E, 9 on the A, and then we want a 7 on the D. So just kind of barring it like this. And we just pick that the same way we did the previous chord. Okay, back to the G major 7, the 3, 5, 4. And then after that, we go to drop it down to an E7. So open E, 2, A, open D. Okay, and we just pick that 4 times as well. Now, once we get to the chorus, this is kind of where we're going to use the big compounded power chord. So we're going to do a B sus2. So we got the 2 on the A, 4 on the D and G here. And then we'll want the 2 on the B. And if you incidentally hit a 2 on the high E, because we're kind of barring there, it's not a big deal. It sounds fine, but not necessary. But we do want this 2 on the low E, the F sharp there, just to give it that extra low octave on top, just to make it sound bigger, you know. So instead of that, we get just a little more bassiness to it. So we hit that, the 2s, 4s, and 2s, and we just strum kind of like right on tempo with it, like quarter notes. Okay, about 8 of them. Now we're going to shift to that G sus2 I was mentioning earlier. And like I said, I like to use this. I'm fine with the stretch, and it seems to give it a little bigger sound to me, just because we're using all low strings here, all the wound strings. If you want to do this version, you got to include that, and we don't quite get the 5th from the wound lower string here. We get it from an open D, so it's just a little different vibe. But I like this method. The 3, 5, 7, and it's the same deal, so just strum it 8 times. Like I say, you could do that, or you could do a little different sound there. And just make sure you skip the A if you're going to do this method. So we go from the B sus2 with the F sharp, G sus2, and then we're going to do this A power chord with an open low E. Okay, so we open low E, open A, 2 on the D and G there. Alright, and with this one we want to strum it faster, like more eighth notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, and after we hit that fourth one, we zoom that 2 on the D up to an 11 and give it a little vibrato there. Okay, and we do that a few times. Alright, and then the final time we kind of do this little scale up where you can hit the open low E and A with it, but we kind of take that 11 D, go up 13, 14 to 16 on the D. Okay, just playing around with that scale a bit. So it's kind of like that final measure there. Once we get to the second verse, there's a little bit of lead stuff going over the top of what we would normally do. And it's just kind of playing around here, like sliding up to the 7D, scale it down like 5/4, 5/4. Okay, take the 4 D and G, slide the 4 G up to 6. Stay on the 7s with the B and G for a bit. Throw in a 5B there with the 7G. Back to the 7th. Okay, just playing around with those notes. The second half of it, we take it higher now. Go between like the 4G or the open B and go 2E a couple times. Slide that 2E up to 5s. Scale it back down to the 3, 2. And then come on up to the 9E with the 7B. Just bounce between those for a few. And kind of flip it, go 7 to 9. And then we throw in this kind of dissonance with the 8B to 9 high E. Just as a kind of little build back into the chorus. And other than that, we just kind of ride that chorus and we should be all good.